Hello, my dear children. This video is in continuation with the chapter Patol Babu film star. So, in previous video, we saw that the neighbor of Patol Babu, Nishikanto, came to him to tell him that his brother-in-law, who was working in film industry, wanted to see him to offer him a role in his film. Listening to this, Patol Babu was very excited, and he was reminded of earlier time when he used to work on stage, when he used to act on stage, and people were fan of his acting and wanted to see him on the stage. Then let's see what happens next. Naresh Dutt turned up 2 hours late at 12:30. Patol Babu had given up hope and was about to go for his bath when there was a knock on the front door. Come in, sir. Do sit down. No thanks. I expect Nishikanto Babu told you about me. Yes, oh yes. I must say, I was quite taken aback. You think I'll be all right for the part? Patul Babu asked with a great diffidence. Naresh Dutt cast an appraising look at Patul Babu and gave a nod. Oh, yes, he said. There is no doubt about that. By the way, the shooting takes place tomorrow morning. Tomorrow? Sunday? Yes, and not in the studio. You know Faraday House, near the crossing Bentic Street and Mission Row? It's seven-story office building. The shooting takes place outside the office in front of the entrance. We'll expect you there at 8:30 sharp. You'll be through by midday. Naresh Dutt prepared to leave, but you haven't told me about the part, said Patul Babu anxiously. Oh yes, sorry. The part is that of a pedestrian. Pedestrians mean a person traveling on foot. An absent-minded, short-tempered pedestrian. Patul Babu suddenly thought of another crucial question. I hope the part calls for some dialogue. Of course, there's dialogue, and you will be given your lines as soon as you show up tomorrow. Naresh Dutt left, and 52-year-old Patul Babu did a little skip. Little skip means he made a little jump. In excitement, he felt as if he had been born again. The next day, Patul Babu arrived at Faraday House on time. There was a big crowd outside the building. Patul Babu suddenly felt a little nervous. With a slight tremor in his heart, slight tremor means his heart was trembling, he advanced towards the entrance. So, Patul Babu has been waiting for Naresh Dutt since 10:30, but he didn't show up. Then Patul Babu had lost hope that he would come. As he was about to go for a bath, there was a knock at the door of the house. So finally, Naresh Dutt reached Patul Babu's house at 12:30. That is, he was 2 hours late. Patul was excited to see Naresh Dutt. He welcomed him and offered a seat, but Naresh Dutt refused to sit and asked Patul if Nishikanto Babu told Patul about him. To which Patul Babu said yes and added that he was surprised to get the acting offer after so many years. And he also asked Naresh Dutt, showing his modesty, if he was suitable for the role. Naresh Dutt then checked out Patul Babu and confirmed that he was suitable for the role. He further informed Patul that the shooting was scheduled for the next day. But Patol was not ready for the next day, as he thought that he had very less time to prepare for it. But he did not want to miss the chance. Then Naresh Dutt confirmed that the shooting would take place the next day, which was a Sunday, and gave him the direction of the venue, which was not a studio but building by the name of Faraday House, located near the crossing of Bentic Street and Mission Row. He told him that it was a seven-storied building. Patol Babu was supposed to report at 8:30 in the morning outside the office in front of the main entrance. He further told him that he would be free by noon. Then, as Naresh Dutt was about to leave, Patol Babu got eager and asked him for details of the role. Naresh Babu apologized for not telling him earlier and said that the role was of an absent minded, short tempered pedestrian. Just then, Patol Babu interrupted him with another important question. He asked him if there were any dialogues for him. To which Naresh Dutt confirmed that there were dialogues in it, which would be told to him the next day when he would turn up for the shooting. After Naresh Dutt left, Patol Babu made a slight jump in excitement, and he felt as he had been born again. Then, the next morning, Patol Babu reached at the set on time. As he reached Faraday House, he noticed there was a huge crowd. He felt nervous and anxious, and in nervousness, he walked towards entrance. Naresh Dutt came up to him with tea in a small clay cup. "We're about to start. Here you are, sir. The hot tea will help your throat. Your turn will come shortly. If you let me have my lines now." "Your lines? Oh, I say, Shashanko," said Naresh Dutt to a young fellow in short-sleeved shirt. "This gentleman wants his line. Why don't you write them down on a piece of paper and give it to him?" Shashanko tore off a page from the notebook, he wrote something on it and handed it to him. Patol Babu glanced at the paper and found that a single word had been scrawled on it. "Oh." Patol Babu felt a sudden throbbing. Throbbing means to beat. Patol Babu felt a sudden throbbing in his head. Was the whole thing a gigantic hoax? Gigantic means huge, and hoax means joke. Had they wanted to make a laughing stock out of him? How could anyone be so cruel? He said in a voice hardly audible, "I find it rather strange. Just oh, is that all I have to say?" So, Naresh Dutt walked up to Patol and offered him a cup of tea, which would be good for his throat, and he said that Patol's turn would come soon. Patol Babu asked Naresh for his dialogues. Then Naresh called out a young fellow whose name was Shashanko. He was wearing a short-sleeved shirt. Naresh asked him to write down Patol's dialogue on a piece of paper and hand it to him. Then Shashanko tore a piece of paper from his notebook, wrote something on it and handed it to Patol Babu. Patol looked at the paper for a short while and read the word "oh" written on it. He was disturbed after reading the one-word dialogue to him. Patol felt that all of them were making fun of him and the shooting was a trick to fool him. He thought that they all were cruel. Patol Babu was disappointed and complained in a low voice that it was strange that he had only one word dialogue, that is "oh." "What are you saying, Dadu?" said Shashanko. "You think that's nothing? Why, this is a regular speaking part. A speaking part in Bahrain Malik film. Do you realize what that means? Why, you are the luckiest of actors." A young man, Jyoti, came up and put his hand on Patol Babu's shoulder and said, "Listen, Dadu, I'll tell you what you have to do. Chanchal Kumar is a rising young executive. Executive means senior official. He is informed that an embezzlement has taken place in his office, and he comes to find out what has happened. He gets out of his car and runs across the pavement towards the entrance. Just then, he collides with an absent-minded pedestrian. That's you. You're hurt in the head and say, "Oh," but Chanchal Kumar pays no attention to you and goes into the office. The fact that he ignores you reflects his extreme preoccupation. See, just think how crucial the shot is. Now, if you could please stand back. Patol Babu moved back and stood waiting in the shade of a shop. He glanced down at the paper in his hand, cast a quick look around to see if anyone was watching, crumpled the paper, crumpled mean crushed, crumpled the paper into a ball and threw it into the roadside drain. A faint memory was stirring in Patol Babu's mind. Words of advice given in a deep, pleasant voice by his mentor, Mr. Prakashi. Remember one thing, Patol. However small a part you are offered, never consider it beneath your dignity to accept it. As an artist, your aim should be to make the most of your opportunity and squeeze that last drop of meaning out of your line. A play involves a work of many, and it is a combined effort that makes a success of the play. So, Shashanko reacted sharply and said that Patol's role was a regular speaking role, and that too in a Malik's film. He said that it was a big thing and Patol could not realize what it meant. He said that Patol was lucky as more than 100% that had acted in the film so far. Then a young man named Jyoti came and kept his hand on Patol's shoulder and started describing the scene in which Patol had to perform. He said that Chanchal Kumar, the hero of the movie, would be playing the role of a young businessman who rushes to his office on being informed that his employees had cheated him. As he walks hurriedly, he bumps into a pedestrian played by Patol Babu. Patol Babu hurts his head and says, "Oh, but Chanchal Kumar does not pay attention as he is in hurry." Then Jyoti tried to convince him by saying that he is a part of a very important scene and asked Patol to move back. Patol Babu then went back and stood in the shade of the pan shop. He looked at the paper in his hand, looked around him to see if anyone was watching, and as no one was looking at him, he crushed the piece of paper which had the word O written on it and threw it in the drain on the side of the road. Patol Babu was then reminded of his days as a stage actor, and the words of his mentor Gogon Prakashi were repeated in his mind. He had guided Patol that no role was small and that he should honor the opportunity that he got. An actor must put in his best to make the play, which involved the effort of many people, a success. Oh, 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 oh. Patol Babu uttered the word over and over again, giving it a different inflection each time. After doing this number of times, he made an astonishing discovery. The same exclamation, when spoken in different ways, carried different shades of meaning. A man, when hurt, said "oh" in one way. Despair brought forth a difficult kind of "oh," while sorrow brought out yet another kind. In fact, there were so many kinds of "ohs." The true actor could make a mark with this one single syllable. Patol Babu cleared his throat and began to practice speaking this one syllable dialogue in various ways. He was called in exactly half an hour. He felt a keen anticipation and excitement. It was the feeling he used to have 20 years ago just before he stepped onto the stage. An idea had occurred to Patol Babu while rehearsing. I was thinking if I had a newspaper open in my hand, then perhaps Barain Malik, the director, cut him short by addressing a bystander. "Do you mind handing your paper to this gentleman just for this one shot? Thanks. Now you take your position beside the pillar. Chanchal, are you ready?" "Yes, sir." "Good. Silence. Start sound. Action." So now Patol Babu reconsidered his role after he was reminded of the words of his mentor. He reconsidered his role and dialogue. Then he spoke the word "oh" few times, and he realized that there were many different tones in which he could speak it, and each tone reflected a different meaning, like being sad, hurt, or unhappy. He could display his acting skills through this valuable dialogue. Patol Babu now started practicing his dialogues in different ways, and exactly after half an hour, his turn came. He was now no longer disinterested, rather, he looked forward to performing well. He felt the same 20 years ago, just before he stepped onto the stage. There, he presented an idea which had struck him while he was practicing. He asked Parain Malik if he could have a newspaper in his hand and look into it at that time of collision. Then his words were interrupted by Bahrain as he asked a person standing nearby who was holding a newspaper to give it to Patol for a shot. Bahrain thanked the person and told Patol to stand by the pillar, called out to Chanchal Kumar for the shot, and screamed, "Silence! Start sound, action!" Clop, 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 clop. Wham! Patol Babu saw stars before his eyes. The hero's head had banged against his forehead, and an excruciating pain robbed him of his senses. Excruciating means extremely painful. So, an excruciating pain robbed him of his senses for a second. But the next moment, by a supreme effort of will, Patol Babu pulled himself together and, mixing 50 parts of anguish with 25 of surprise and 25 of irritation, cried, "Oh!" Then, after a brief pause, he resumed his walk. "Cut! Was that all?" asked Patol Babu anxiously, stepping towards Parain Malik. "Jolly good. Why, you are quite an actor." "My God," said Chanchal Kumar, massaging his head. "You timed it so well that I nearly fainted." Patol Babu started walking, took some steps, and collided into Chanchal Kumar with a lot of force. The impact of the collision was so strong that Patol Babu lost his vision for a while. Chanchal's head had hit Patol's forehead, and Patol felt intense pain. He became unconscious. Patol's willpower came into force. He cried, "Oh!" mixing the feelings of pain, surprise, and irritation, and then again started to walk. The director screamed cut as the scene was over. Patol Babu was curious to know if he had performed well and asked the director about it. He replied that Patol was an actor indeed, and then resumed his work. Then Chanchal Kumar massaged his head where it had hit Patol and said that Patol had timed it perfectly and that he had almost fainted after the collision. Patol breathed a sigh of relief. A feeling of complete satisfaction swept over him. He had done his job well. He was happy that after all those years he was still able to act so well. It was true that he needed money very badly, but what was 20 rupees when measured against the intense satisfaction of a small job done with perfection and dedication? 10 minutes later, Naresh Dutt went looking for Patol Babu and found no one there. "That's odd. The man hadn't been paid yet. What a strange fellow." Patol Babu felt relieved and was satisfied by his performance. Patol has retained his acting skills despite all the struggles of life. He did need money, but the amount of 20 rupees was nothing as compared to the immense satisfaction he had got by performing well. He did not want to waste his effort by taking the small amount of money in return for it. He felt great amount of satisfaction he experienced by putting in his best and performing well. After about 10 minutes, Naresh Dutt went to the pan shop, but Patol was nowhere to be seen. He thought that Patol was a strange man who had left without taking money. So, children, I hope this chapter is clear to you. Prepare who said to whom from this chapter and do the exercises given at the back of the chapter. Thank you.